But yeah, let's take a look at Ethan Klein. The most one-sided beef ever is between Ethan Klein and Taylor Lorenz. Go check out our clip when we had Taylor on. We asked her about this, and she's just like, "Yeah, I've never met this fucking person. I don't fucking like him. He's totally unhinged." Apparently, she used to be friends with like someone who was friends with Gila Klein. Remember that?
Yeah.
Taylor was like telling us about like she used to have a mutual friend with Gila. Um, and then there was like some drama with that. Maybe we should pull up the fucking interview clip. I forget exactly what the tea was.
Yeah, well, I think she mentioned that she was like socially connected with people that knew Gila Klein, and they'd asked her to take a. I can't remember what they asked her to take a look at, but they literally asked her to like kind of get a sense of something that would have like, from my perspective, ingratiated her towards Ethan. But yeah, we can go ahead and throw this up here because I can't remember, and I don't want to like misattribute the.
Yeah, it was.
That made
That
him.
was all it took.
Oh, I mean, he's a psychopath. And this is after, by the way, I spent months trying to help him. Like he had, I stayed out of the whole side. Like I'm not super involved in like streaming drama. And so I sort of didn't pay attention. And his wife, Ela, and I have mutual friends here in LA. And our mutual friend had reached out to him and like, look, they're going through all this stuff. They're being harassed on Reddit. Like, I know you've reported a lot on Snark subreddits. Can you help them? I was like, sure, let me look into it. I reached out to Reddit multiple times, went back and forth with Reddit. Turns out that his community is the one instigating the harassment.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was interesting. I guess it wasn't like anything specifically juicy, but she at one point was actually like trying to, I guess, help them or offer advice because she knew a mutual friend of Ela Klein, and they were like dealing with all of this like harassment, which is ironic because Ethan's the biggest bully on the fucking block. He's literally suing multiple smaller content creators who can barely afford the financial burden that the lawsuit has created. So it's really crazy.
Yeah, and the stuff he chooses to go after her for is reflective of how poor his mental health is, right? Because he constantly tries to attack her for things that only make Taylor seem more relatable. And this was where it kind of all started recently. Here's a screenshot of just a regular innocuous tweet from Taylor Lorenz that Ethan then went and responded to. But she said, I actually miss working retail so much around the holidays. I wish someone I knew had a store that I could go back to and work the week before Christmas every year, because there's something about the holiday energy and helping people pick out gifts I miss so much. I know a lot of people that feel that way. I know a lot of people who, at some point in their life, maybe they have children, maybe they're no longer in the workforce, but they love to go wrap gifts at Oak Park Mall. They love to be around the holiday vibe. I've talked about how, as somebody who worked as a bartender for a long time, sometimes it's fun for me to pop back in and work. And like, obviously it's busy, and obviously there's pains and things that are annoying about working the holidays and doing customer service, but there's also something deeply rewarding and enriching about it that Taylor Lorenz was talking about. And this is just the most out of touch bullshit. We talked about it a little bit today, but he says, this woman hasn't worked a day in her life. This is proof. Find me one person who has real experience working retail during the holidays and ask them if they miss it. Only Taylor Lorenz could lie about something so stupid, as she is pathologically inclined to do so. Retail stolen valor.
The first thing that comes to my mind is like, based on the Taylor Lorenz tweet, it's not like she's fucking working at Walmart. Retail doesn't mean fucking Walmart. Like, she could have been working at a really nice place that really rich people go to get Christmas gifts. You know what I'm saying? Like, she wasn't necessarily being treated like shit by a bunch of people, or being paid a horribly low wage. Like, there are lots of retail jobs where you actually can make some decent money. It's kind of like being a waiter or a waitress, right? Like, if you just say, oh, I'm a fucking waiter or waitress, like, people would assume that you're probably not making very much money. But if you're waiting tables at a really nice restaurant, and you've been doing it for a while and you figured out the fucking craft, then you can actually be bringing home a shit ton of money at the end of the day. And it is very similar in a lot of retail positions, specifically when you factor in like commission and stuff like that, right? It is possible that Taylor was working at like some nice fucking, store at a department store or something like that, which again is retail, but it would be a lot more chill than working at like fucking Walmart in retail. Technically, they're both retail, but she's not claiming to have been a fucking McDonald's worker. Again, this is not a Kamala Harris situation where Kamala lied about having worked at a McDonald's and then never was able to produce any proof. Yeah, it's very possible that she was working in a more chill line of retail at that time. And I also agree with what you were saying. Like, I was half considering fucking, picking up a few shifts at the Glenwood, the movie theater, which is in Johnson County. I used to work at a different location of the same theater company. And if it was a little bit closer, if it wasn't 30 minutes away, I might unironically pick up a shift there Friday night, Thursday night, just because, yeah, I do kind of miss working at the movie theater. Like, as crazy as it sounds, I was only getting paid like minimum wage, and there were a lot of shitty aspects of the job. I didn't really like having to like take out the trash or clean the toilets. Not all of it was fun, but I also made some really great friends working at the Glenwood. Some of the best camaraderie I've ever experienced was just hanging out with and talking movies with the crew at the Glenwood. I met some awesome people there, and I do kind of miss that. Once you're just self-employed, you don't get as much of that. I mean, obviously, I love hanging out with my best friend Zach over here, but like, you don't meet new people. You're not having those new experiences. So I can totally relate to Taylor's tweet.
100%. No, that's a great point. All of those things, compound, right? I remember when Gavin was like, shit, it would be kind of fun to work a couple of shifts at the Glenwood, right? I'm sure I mentioned to him all the time, like, oh, I do miss this one thing about bartending, but I also bitched constantly about bartending because there were a lot of headaches, right? And that's why she didn't say, wow, I really hope my journalism career goes down the toilet and I have to work every single day all year round in retail. No, she's proud of her career. She's happy with the work she's done. But yeah, very, very astute to point out that also a lot of people have fun working retail. Our homie Mariah, who we've known our whole life practically, she works at a really, really nice boutique vintage shop, and she has a great time there. And she hired me to be the bartender of their party on December 20th, right? And I said yes. Why? Because it's fun to go out and do that kind of thing. It's fun to schmooze with people. And yeah, these aren't like fucking, people who are Black Friday shopping. They might not buy anything at all. They might just come in here and chat. But if you're an extrovert, if you like helping people find the right gift for grandma, or, oh, my wife really is like into this kind of thing, but I don't know what to get her, it could be really fulfilling for people. And it is odd and shows how out of touch with reality Ethan Klein is, that he can't even possibly relate to that. And then here's just a quick response from Taylor. She said, I worked retail for 9 years. I didn't even stop working retail after I started in media because I was so broke. I was still working at a clothing store on the UES part-time. Ethan is a multimillionaire YouTuber who hasn't had to work a day in his life. And he's like, oh, this is real journalism, folks. It's like she's debunking lies that you spread about her.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, when you get fact check and when you when your fucking slander gets, disproven. Yeah. This is real journalism in action, folks. It's like she wouldn't have had to fucking respond to the smear if you hadn't leveled it at her. Yeah. It's completely ridiculous. It's totally fucking stupid.
And then here's this boomer meme that he posted, trying to be funny, but really just making himself look like a douche. And we've got even more from Mr. Decline over here. And I'll try and pause it because this is on his Instagram story live now. But he says, Taylor turned... or what did it say? It's like Taylor turned a boy throb comments into a fan meetup, which I don't even know what that means. But then he comes out here and he says, in response to her, Israel has a serious problem with Nazi youth. These children are being indoctrinated from a very young age. And I'll go ahead and click off of this because it's really fucking hard to read. And then he says, calling them Nazis is racist, point blank. Using Nazi as an insult against a Jewish person is a slur. If these kids are saying horrible things, there are a ton of different words to use: extremist, religious supremacist, bigots, or just call them racist. The reason Taylor and others use this word is because they know it's especially hurtful to call a Jewish person a Nazi. To normalize the weaponization of this word as a slur against Jewish people, these kids may very well be expressing evil, but using your supposed elite $100,000 per year education, Taylor, surely there is a more appropriate word than Nazi,
which is just completely fucking stupid. Yeah. Completely fucking stupid. It's like, sorry it offends you, bro, but it's fucking true. And the reality of that truth is a lot more fucking offensive than like your fucking feelings getting hurt because a Jewish person got called a Nazi. Deal with it, motherfucker. And also, Jews weren't the only people affected by the Nazis. They weren't the only people affected by the Holocaust. Can you not call a gay person a Nazi? Because gays were also rounded up and fucking holocausted by Hitler. And so same with the Romani. Can you not call a Romani person a Nazi? What about the communists? They were also rounded up and fucking holocausted. Can you not call a communist a Nazi? This is obviously ridiculous to anyone who has more than like 3 fucking brain cells.
Yup. And I did find it where people can see the screenshot. That's where I was reading from. But Taylor responds one more time saying, of course, Ethan Klein, who supports Israel's genocide, cut out the video I QT'd. But the video aside, it's a reality that children in Israel are fed a hateful ideology about Palestinians from a very young age. This is similar to how Nazis indoctrinated children during World War II. She then said, it's crucial to draw these parallels because despite what many genocide supporters like to argue, the lesson from the Holocaust should not be ever again or never again only for Jews. It should be never again for anyone. Ethan Klein supports a Jewish supremacist ethno-state. That will always be wrong. Anyway, reminder that Ethan doesn't actually care about Nazis or the Holocaust unless it's something he can weaponize against those advocating for Palestinians. And then she links back to when Ethan joined a Nazi blog with a swastika logo to bash Taylor Lorenz reporting about Nazis on Substack.
Yup, 100%. 100%. So, yeah, Taylor continuing to school this low-life fucking piece of scum, Ethan Klein. And by the way, I also wanted to quickly, speaking of Ethan Klein, put a spotlight on this case, the lawsuit against Casey Tron, who I'm not a really big listener of. I've never really checked out their content, but they posted this talking about, a personal update on this lawsuit and how it's affecting them. They're one of the commentators that Ethan sued, along with a few others. I think it was Denims and maybe was it Frogan?
Frogan also was sued. Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, like it kind of, we talked about it at the time. We said it was stupid, but I, time has passed, and a lot of people aren't talking about it anymore. And I just feel terrible for this poor woman, and what she's going through. All as a result of fucking Ethan Klein. And this is a much smaller content creator. This is not someone with 1 million subscribers, not even close. So I genuinely feel bad for this person. Again, I'm not a viewer of theirs. But they really don't deserve this from Ethan Klein. So let's just take a look at the first minute or so you guys can get a sense.
Okay. So first of all, my intention of this statement is not to blame Ethan Klein or accuse him of malicious conduct. So please refrain from making any hateful posts about him. If he believes he has a copyright claim, he is entitled to pursue it. My intention is to shed some light on the financial strain this is causing me and my family, and also why I made a settlement offer to Ethan. So when this lawsuit began, it was unclear how myself and my family were going to survive this. It is only due to the unbelievable generosity of others that I have been able to afford the devastating financial effects of this lawsuit. I will forever be grateful for the kindness and support that I've received during this dark time in my life. We have raised just over $49,000 on my GoFundMe. I have also contributed another $5,000 from various marathons and fundraising, bringing the total up to $54,000. All of these funds were deposited into a separate bank account that I opened exclusively for legal expenses. None of the
By the way, she goes on talking about how it's basically ruined her fucking life. And it's just it's horrible. It's terrible. This person didn't do anything wrong. They were literally just commenting on Ethan's content the same way he comments on a bunch of other people's content. And because of that, he decided to just try to ruin her fucking life. And it's only thanks to the fact that people in her community have, donated money that she's even been able to survive it. But you can tell that it's triggered a really dark episode in their life, as she says. So, I mean, it's just horrible.
Yeah, and I can't help but notice it is weird, right? Ethan's only suing women. He only goes after women.
I think he did also sue Bad Empanada.
Oh, okay, but he can't legally deliver that lawsuit
Right.
because Bad Empanada's abroad and we can't return back to a place where he would have to deal with that lawsuit. But okay, fair enough. The vast majority of people that he targets, harasses, and sues are women. And I remember being blown away. Gavin and I, as you mentioned, we don't follow a ton of these creators closely. Like we hear about Ethan because he's ginormous. I hear about some of these other people because they're ginormous, but it's not where I go to be entertained or to watch content. And the way that Ethan will just antagonize and, go to fucking litigation with, these super small channels. I was blown away when I realized how small these channels are, how fragile this man's fucking ego is, because he's not locking horns with guys like us, knock on fucking wood. I don't want to have to deal with this legal nightmare, right? But he's not going to war with the Kyle Kalinskis of the world, right? He's not going to, like, he's targeting people who he knows can't defend themselves, right? He's not interested in million sub channels, as we've said, right? This Casey Tron person, when she goes live, I wouldn't be surprised if there were 300 people watching. Okay. We're live right now for 1,400 people. I would consider us a small show. I would think it was pretty fucking ludicrous if somebody wanted to come out here and sue us. Even Cenk Uygur told Anna Kasparian it was ludicrous to come out here and try and get into a copyright battle with us, because they also are pretty loose with copyright, as is everyone on YouTube. And it's also funny because Ethan Klein back in the day had to defend himself multiple times against these kinds of copyright claims. And he used to find himself with the shoe on the other foot. But yeah, just really, really shows you how desperate, how pathetic, how insecure he is, that he's trying to use whatever power he has to go after people. Like, I was watching Frogan the other day just to be like, how many views does Frogan get? She was live for 250 people, guys. I mean, this is not a content creator that is generating the kind of income, or dare I say, fucking publicity that you need to litigate with them, right? If you were not the most fragile, small, pathetic little man imaginable, you would have just let it the fuck go. Just like Gavin and I let it the fuck go whenever anybody makes a video about the Vanguard.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. It's completely ridiculous. I mean, it's one thing to copyright claim someone and try to get a strike on their channel. Even that's pretty shitty. To actually get lawyers involved, I just think is unhinged and truly disgusting. And some people in chat are like, oh, I don't like Casey Tron, she's cringe. I don't give a fuck. Like I said, I've never even watched her videos. I don't give a fuck. She clearly doesn't deserve to have her life ruined for reacting to someone's content on YouTube. Like, I literally don't give a fuck about how cringe you think she is. To say that any normal ass random person deserves to have their fucking, financial situation upended, it's crazy. It's fucking crazy for doing nothing wrong. Yeah, that's ridiculous. But either way, fuck Ethan Klein. He's a real piece of shit.
Well said.
Look out the door if you hear an ambulance. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there. Be there.